Welcome to Finding Your Worth From Within, the podcast where I'm going to be helping you up-level your life, find your true self, and ignite the best version of you. I'm your host, Aman Sana, your go-to self-worth mentor, facilitating hundreds of women to unlock your self-belief, master your emotions, and take back control of negative thoughts. We're going to be covering everything self-worth for South Asian women, how to ditch your self-doubt, kick other people's judgment to the curb, and learn how to finally use your voice clearly and with confidence. With the practical tools and spiritual teachings that I give you in this podcast, don't be surprised when this magic begins to massively elevate your life. So whether you're going for a walk, driving home, or listening with a cup of coffee, let's get stuck in. Hello, and welcome to episode 5. Today I am going to be answering your questions that you have given me since listening to the other episodes. So before I do that, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you, because we launched on Sunday the 5th of January, and today I'm recording on Tuesday the 7th of Jan, and I have had a huge 460 downloads in just 3 days. That's you guys. You guys have downloaded 460 episodes of my podcast, and I cannot tell you how grateful I am. We reached top 50 in the Apple podcast charts within 24 hours. We came in at number 42 in 24 hours because of you guys. So a huge, massive thank you to you all. And it was just something, honestly, beyond my dreams. I was like, what? Number 42, above Tony Robbins, above Gabby Bernstein at the time. And it was, like I said, beyond my dreams. So a huge thank you to you all. So let's get stuck in today. After listening to episode 1, this listener messaged in and said, you've just been speaking about beliefs from childhood and how they show up as adult behaviors. And I had given in episode 1 an example of when I had unknowingly given my daughter a story that she struggled with comprehension. Now, this was because I'd seen her a couple of times feel a bit challenged by it, and she'd heard me say, she struggles with comprehension a bit, she's way better at maths. And that soon became her story, as it does with many of us as children. So this listener messaged in and said, Aman, how do I fix this with my kids? Because after I've listened to that episode, I just keep thinking, oh my God, what am I saying to them? And what stories are they creating? So do not fear, because I've got you today. The first thing we did with my daughter was create evidence. We showed her evidence that this belief is not true. We addressed it that actually, you've heard me say that. You've heard Mom say that. And that's not true at all. Mom made a mistake. Number 2, we got evidence. We used scores, results. We spoke to her teacher, and her teacher said, we do believe she has a bit more potential, but she's above average, right? So that evidence was there to show her that this belief that I had unknowingly created for her, that she had made her story, is actually fully untrue. The other thing we did was looked at how she was actually learning. As you know, at school, we all get text that is actually not our preferred reading material, right? So putting it nicely. So some of the text was not interesting to her, which is why she was finding herself switch off. But more than that, we explored her preferred learning method. What we found was that actually audio was her preferred learning method. She took in a lot more through audio than reading, and that's really similar to me. I could devour a book, an audio book, in a week, but if it's an actual reading book, I love the idea of reading, but I just struggle with sitting down and reading through because I'm a very slow reader. So we explored that for her, and she much preferred, there was much less resistance to sitting down with audio. So where she could, we spoke to a teacher on the topics that she could, or the text that had that choice, she was able to listen to the audio whilst following the book and whilst following the comprehension for her to then answer the questions. And there was so much less resistance there. So this gained her confidence, because she then understood that actually It's nothing to do with comprehension. It's just a different learning method. She just prefers learning in different ways. So we recognize that, and it gained her confidence. And after gaining confidence, it's just about then doing it over and over again. And often you'll notice that there's different levels of beliefs when we talk about beliefs. Some are so deep rooted, like how we spoke about the feeling of not being good enough, etc. But some beliefs don't run deep in your core, and they're more surface level. And these are the beliefs that are really easy to actually shift out and move. Because they're not as deep and you've created them as your story, you can remove them. They actually become similar to the core ones, part of our personality and part of our story, but they're easier to remove. For example, you will find that I used to walk around saying, I'm not very good at tech. I'm not very good at tech. And when I say used to, I'm only talking like the last month or two. It just was my story that I'm not very good at tech. But actually, it was more that I didn't understand tech. Now, with that belief of I'm not very good at tech, came the resistance to actually doing the podcast, because I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? I don't even know how to do all the techie stuff. But actually, what this belief required to be thrown out and overruled and reframed was just courage. Just courage to throw myself in there and do it. So I announced a launch date for my podcast before I had recorded anything, because I knew I needed the courage to put it out there, to have the accountability, and then I'll have to learn the tech stuff, right? I'll have to learn. And actually, I have learned new software to record these podcasts. I have created an intro for myself, that we've done all the graphics, and I've actually learned how to use a new software for my Instagram reels that I'm using occasionally. So I've learned how to use 3 to 4 different programs. So clearly, I do not hold the belief that I'm not good at tech, because I clearly have learned how to do it. I can do tech, right? I might not be the most amazing thing at it. It might not come natural to me, but it's not that I'm not good at it. It was just that I was a little bit scared of it. It was the unknown. I didn't know what I'm doing. So now that I've learned what I'm doing, now that I've done it 3, 4, 5, 6 times, it is going to be way more natural to me. And that belief, that surface level belief I had, that thing that was making my personality, that I'm not good at tech, this as a person, I'm not good at tech, has gone. It's done one. It's reframed, because actually I've relearned everything, and I think it's running pretty smoothly, if I'm honest. So in conclusion today, when you look at your beliefs and how to change them, first of all, the most important thing is to learn how deep they run through you. Is it a surface level one? Is it a core one? And if it is just something that you know has been placed there, or you know you're creating as a personality so that you don't actually have to get uncomfortable, yes, you can change it. If you have any questions that you would like answered, simply drop me a DM on Instagram and I can get them answered over here on the podcast so that I can help you find your worth from within. See you next time. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Finding Your Worth from Within. If today's message resonated with you, it would mean the world to me if you could follow, rate, and leave a review. Sharing the podcast with someone that you feel may benefit is the best way to help it grow and spread this important message. To stay connected between episodes, come hang out with me on Instagram @Mentoring. Can't wait to see you there.